Who says you can't go back
Oh
home?
my goodness.
Geno Smith
Oh my goodness.
to the New York Football Jets.
Oh my goodness.
What do you remember about your pre-draft process, if even such a thing existed?
My situation was so damn unique and different that it doesn't count. I was so lucky that the USFL was around. There was a new league that was lobbying for players. They'd signed Herschel Walker. They had signed Steve Young. They signed Jim Kelly. All right, all these big name guys were playing. Reggie White. So I had a second option. So my draft status, Buffalo was talking about taking me high. They were flirting anywhere from first round to third round, possibly. That became Bruce Smith. So they did the right thing. Atlanta was talking about, that low second to fourth round. Other than that, I didn't have a lot of interest. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I refused to go to the combines because I didn't want to get measured and weighed and throw in front of these people. Like, you put a guy 6'4" next to me and we both throw an out route, the 6'4" guy looks better, right? It's like, I got 4 years of film, watch the film, you decide, right? That was my attitude about it. So it was such a variable that I signed with the USFL and I signed for big money with Trump and all that stuff. Well, on draft day, I didn't even know it was draft day. We were practicing. We were in the middle of our season, and we're going. And I think 36 hours later, I saw on TV that I got drafted in a late round by the Rams, like the 11th round. We had 15 rounds back then, So I just, they had picked up my rights, hoping that the league would fold up and then they'd have my rights. And eventually the next year they did have my rights, but then they signed Jim Everett and traded my rights over to Chicago. I signed with the Bears. Mm-hmm. So my situation was totally ridiculous. I didn't even pay attention to the draft that day, and I was out practicing.
Yeah. Well, my situation was, it was 12 rounds when I came out. And going into my senior year, I was projected to be a 4th through 8th rounder, but our offense snuck it up. So some teams reached out to me. Yeah, we'll draft you if you're still late, 11th, 12th round. Of course, no one drafted me. And I became a free agent, but it was the best situation for me because I had like 9 teams reaching out to me, and myself and my agent, we got to pick what was the best situation for me. And obviously we picked the best situation. My hometown Cincinnati Bengals, they had some holes. One of the starting receivers, Eddie Brown. I don't know if you remember him, Doug. Eddie Brown, who went to Miami. He got hurt, opened up a slot for me, and I ended up playing 3 years there. So back then, getting drafted late in those late rounds actually wasn't the best thing for you. You had a better opportunity when you were a free agent and you got to pick and choose where you wanted to go.
So when you
very well said. That is very true. Very true.
When you talk about that situation, we hear that all the time, Milt. That can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. From your standpoint, is it looking at the wide receiver depth chart, taking a look at what kind of the most opportunities maybe? Hey, I think I can beat that guy out. What do you mean by the best situation overall as you kind of look at it per team?
Well, the first thing you have to look at and see when and how many receivers they drafted before in the draft. And the only receiver they drafted that year was a guy named Carl Pickens. They drafted, he was the first pick in the second round. And then I looked at the receivers they had on the roster, and I was like, okay, they only have like 3 solid receivers on the roster. There are other guys who are like scrappy guys who were, on the bubble trying to make the team. So I was like, they kept 5 receivers. I was like, I got a pretty good chance. I knew they had 3 receivers they're going to keep and Carl Pickens. So my thinking was, okay, if I'm not on the roster, I can at least make the practice roster. Well, I opened up some odds in that first preseason game, and I ended up making the roster, and they ended up cutting some guys who had been there 2 or 3 years. So you got to look at all that. You have to look at what type of offense they run, what type of quarterback they have. But the main thing you have to look at is what receivers they drafted and when did they draft. And if they drafted 2 or 3 receivers in the first 4 rounds, that's not the team to go to because more than likely they're going to keep those guys. They're young guys. They drafted them early. So that's not the team to go to. Like I said, they only drafted 1 receiver, and that was the best spot for them.
Some guys – go ahead, Doug.
And some teams only kept 4 receivers back then.
Yep.
They keep 5. All right, I got a chance there. And some teams will release that 5th guy, And some weeks he's active and some weeks he's not. And I'm going with 4 guys.
Right.
Like, imagine telling somebody that today, where there's 5 receivers on the field regularly.
Exactly.
It's just amazing when you think about all of that. And look,
we needed fullbacks back then. We actually had a couple of fullbacks.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, some guys expect to go on the first day. They expect to go in the first round. They get all suited up for it. Geno Smith had to wait the second day. And who says you can't go back home?
Oh, my goodness.
Geno Smith.
Oh, my goodness.
To the New York Football Jets.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Hey, you know, this is great for Doug because
I get to keep picking against the Jets. It's fun.
I don't know if he's a Bills guy, a Patriots guy. Actually, I've come to understand he's just an anti-Jets guy.
I wear my Bills helmet. The Bills helmet was out of frame. I get a lot of feedback from the Bills fans where they don't see the helmet floating around. They see this Patriot stuff going on, but it's right here. Anyway, yes, I'm a Bills guy first. I enjoyed watching the Patriots this year. The Jets just don't disappoint. They just continue to be consistent and do what they do. And it just is amazing. God bless you, front office people, ownership, coaches, it's something to do and something in the water, in the dirt. I don't know. It doesn't matter who they sign or bring in. The line that I've used for 10 years is that's where quarterbacks go to die.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. It's a tough place to play for sure. Like from a fan standpoint and everything else. And maybe guys that end up there are past their prime. I don't know. But I wish Geno the best. And I hope he can do something there. But the odds are against him.
There was a movie, and it was made some years ago with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, and the name of the movie was Life. And there was a character in the movie named Can't Get Right. That's what the Jets are. They can't get right. There's nothing they can do. You signed Geno Smith, nothing against Geno Smith, but I would have signed Kirk Cousins. I know that sounds crazy, Arash. I would have signed Kirk Cousins over Geno Smith of what we've seen out of him. Seriously. The Jets, I don't know what they're thinking about. I don't know if they're going to draft Ty Simpson with their second pick in the first round, but the Jets can't get right. That owner, they just can't get right. I don't know how they think this is going to fix that team. I just don't see it. Hopefully I'm wrong. Like I said, I don't want to see Geno Smith fail, but I don't see this situation work. I don't see. I'll jump through 10 tables if this works.
Oh, geez.
I got to tell you, there is no quarterback in the league better built for the New York Jets today than Kirk Cousins. I just tell you that.
Where's Ryan Fitzpatrick? Bring him back. He was the only one that went there and competed his tail off and won a few ball games.
It's off-season Flutie versus Stegall. We're powered by Ozone. Real quick, guys, we got to go. The Super Bowl's only 10 months away. I want a prediction because Steagall's never wrong. So what's the matchup? What's the winner?
Oh, my gosh.
Start with you.
I'll go what we were talking about. I think Denver's going to be really good. I would pick Denver on the AFC side, and I just picking out of a hat. And at the end of our broadcast, I said San Francisco. Well, now they picked up Mike Evans, so maybe they'll use another difference maker for them offensively, and that usually opens up your tight ends and backs even more to have a tall, lanky stud at X. So I'm going to go with San Francisco. I'm going to go with Denver.
Well, as I said, after they won the Super Bowl, they're going to be right back there again. So the Seattle Seahawks, they'll be back in it. And from the AFC, it's finally going to happen. It's going to happen for Josh Allen. This is a year he won't be crying at the end of the year. He'll be crying maybe because they'll lose the Super Bowl, but at least he won't be crying because he didn't make it to the Super Bowl. But Josh Allen, this is your year, baby. This is your year.
Well, the road to the NFL season is here. Ozone.net has you covered with all the odds and props you'll need to score from now all the way to the end of the season. Follow Ozone socials. You can be the first to find out how you can win up to $500 in free bonus cash. It's Flutie versus Stegall in the spring. I love being back with the fellas. Love talking football.